Have you ever wondered about the life of a farmer? Do you have a secret desire to work the land and grow your own organic produce? You're in luck. The state's only incubator farmer program is at the Gifts of Love farm right here in Simsbury. The Gifts of Love farm offers a 3-year program called an Incubator Farm Program. It offers prospective organic farmers the use of their own plot of land. They learn how to manage a farm and grow organic crops in New England. The program includes hands-on training, mentorship from organic farmers, technical support, education from the Yukon Extension Service, and access to equipment. Hello, I'm Andrea Obston, and welcome to the second episode of Gifts of Love Farm in the Community. With us today is Gifts of Love Farm Manager Jim Dombroski and Gifts of Love Executive Director Susan Pribyson. Welcome, Jim. Welcome, Susan. Today, we're here to talk about the Incubator Farm Program at the Gifts of Love Farm. So, Jim, I was really interested in doing research for this segment to find out that there's been a renewed interest in farming among 20 and 30-year-olds, and that there's actually been an increase in the number of farms in Connecticut. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there has been an increased interest. A lot of people are more concerned with what they're eating, where it's coming from now, getting back to the land, not getting food that's typically shipped from, 1,500 miles away. And so there's probably about the last 10 years it's been kind of picking up, and it's been kind of all age ranges. There's a lot of people find that we're teachers or other professionals that are getting out of it. A majority probably are younger people, but I see the whole spectrum. So it's just more of doing something you like to do as a job. It's a lot of work, but it's like I wouldn't last a day in a cubicle myself. So
talk a little bit about the program, because you are growing organic produce, and I'm thinking you're also growing your own farmers.
Yeah, it gives farmers the opportunity to have access to equipment and infrastructure they normally wouldn't have starting out. I mean, farming's not typically a high profit margin business as it is, and to invest a lot of money up front when you're still learning is nearly impossible. So it gives them the opportunity to get off the ground, get established, and hopefully by the end of 3 years they're ready to go off on their own.
Okay, so it's a 3-year program, and talk a little bit about what's included in that.
They get access to the land, irrigation, tractor use, equipment use, the greenhouses, the high tunnels. So there's a lot of, the greenhouse is a big one too, because that's something you just can't go out and buy a greenhouse.
Yeah, you were talking about, when we were talking about this segment, that there's a lot of access to a lot of equipment somebody wouldn't be able to have if they were first starting out as an organic farmer.
Right. Even newer tractors. I mean, they cost more than a car. So
wow. So Susan, I remember you were mentioning to me that the Yukon Extension Service was involved. Talk a little bit about that.
We've been working with the Yukon Extension Program for several years, and they have been providing an education series for farmers, and they come out and use our classroom.
Okay.
And an invitation goes out to a variety of farmers, or just the community can come and learn about the different topics.
Interesting. So they're out on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, and they'll repeat some of the classes in different locations so people can access it. And I still do all those trainings. They're great. I mean,
do you?
Even sometimes I'll do one twice and I'll get something new out of it.
Interesting.
Or I'll maybe do one that doesn't apply in any way to what I'm doing, but I still get something from it I can apply.
And your focus is on organic farming. So are these people that maybe had been farmers and want to go organic, or?
Typically it's people with some experienced master gardeners or people that have gone to school for agriculture. Organic's just a method of doing it. Is a lot of people are concerned with pesticide usage, and there's a little more to it, like with nutrient management and the way the fertilizers break down. It's not as easy as just spraying things on and magically.
Magic, right.
Yeah,
so you just touched on that. Let's talk a little bit about the kinds of people that are in the program and the kinds of people you expect to come into the program.
Typically, we're looking for someone with some kind of background or a little bit of experience to get started, because it's a lot of hands-on training. So hopefully they've have some background in botany and agriculture, just a little bit of knowledge how plants grow and everything, and it's more getting into the process of how to produce things and how to do it profitably too.
So were these people that are going into a new occupation? I mean, where are they coming from?
A lot of them are changing jobs. Like we have some farmers. There's a small program in Knox where they rent community garden plots, but it's kind of that's more hand rototillers, hand tools, and things. So this is more larger scale farms and farming.
And do they expect to do this for a living, or?
They tried. A lot of farmers, even farmers you'd be surprised that have been around for 20 years, there's someone in the family working a full-time job because there's typically no health insurance. There's, there's not a lot of income in the winter time, so you have to diversify, find other things to do. So it's, but they're trying to do it as full-time as they can, kind of make it more of the full-time and then maybe supplement with something else part-time.
Gotcha. And Susan, you were telling me there's a variety of crops that they're growing in the program, and even something unexpected that you talked to me about.
No, well, they grow a lot of your standard crops, the cucumbers, the tomatoes, the lettuces, the kale, but they also grow for the markets that we bring to in Hartford. They grow more, what's the word missing here?
I call it ethnic.
Thank you.
Or culturally appropriate.
So
more culturally appropriate
vegetables
crops.
that maybe would be appropriate for a particular group of people.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
But you also told me, this is the one that surprised me, was you've got somebody growing flowers.
Oh, yes. Yes. We do. We have an incubator farmer who used to work for us 2 summers in a row, is now starting her own farm, and she'll be growing flowers, and we have her right up against the road so that people can see the beautiful flowers, and then she will be selling them at our farm stand.
Oh, wonderful. So this is a program that this is a rebirth of a program. Why did you make the decision to re-energize it?
To bring back education that is truly farm-related and about farming. We want to teach people the value of farming. We want to teach them the value of the organic crops that we grow. And we are going to, we have the land available to do it, and it's a shame to not use it and not let the community come in and gain from it.
So I happen to know that you are a veteran or a graduate of an incubator program. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was in the original program way back. We had it, and it was a great help. I mean, it got us off the ground, got us to the point where we were going. And a lot of people that were in the program have gone on to like bigger and better things. They're managing farms, they own farms. They've typically, if someone gets through their second, third year, they keep going with it. So it's usually, I mean, some people find out after the first season maybe it wasn't what they thought it would be, but usually once they get through the whole 3 years, they continue with it.
And you are actually a graduate of one of these programs.
Right.
So you started in one on this very farm, right?
Right, and I basically had no equipment, and I gradually, as I was going along, invested anything any income I got from it into more equipment, and then kind of went full circle, and now I'm back at the farm.
Oh, that's wild. So you always remind me that the farm has a particular and unique connection to Gifts of Love. There's a reason that this is the Gifts of Love farm. Talk a little bit about that.
Back in 1887, Amos Eno from Simsbury owned the land, and he deeded it to the town for the purpose of feeding the poor. And so back then, if you couldn't feed your family, you actually moved onto the farm, lived there, and worked the land so that your family could eat.
Oh, wow.
And it was more than produce. They had animals back then.
Okay.
But, so you learned about farming so that you could have a sustainable family system. Now, they were called poor farms, Connecticut poor farms. There were a lot of them all over the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
And some of them have been torn down. Some of them have gone to ruin. And actually, they say that the farm, the Gifts of Love farm, formerly known as Simsbury Farm, is in the best condition of the poor farms in the state. So we have wanted to go back to that original mission that it was deeded to the town for. And so when we grow the produce, we bring 20% to Simsbury Social Services, to our own 2 food pantries, and we receive grants to bring them into shelters in Hartford.
We might as well. That's a good opening for you to just give us a quick overview of what Gifts of Love does in general.
Okay. Gifts of Love for 30 years has been an organization of neighbors helping neighbors, and we are helping a very unique population of underemployed or people who don't have a livable wage and are experiencing financial crisis. And we do so by offering them clothing, housewares, and food. But what I like to say is the most important service we offer is giving them back a sense of hope and a sense of dignity, because it's very humbling to have a job, have a family, and have to ask for help.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like your overall emphasis on education, that this program is sort of is an extension of that, but there are other educational things that you do out at the farm.
Yes, that yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Building 20 community gardens, and those will be open to the families in Simsbury and the other towns to come in and lease a plot for a small amount of money.
Okay.
They do have to grow organic, and so Jim will be available to help them with that.
Oh, on the community farm too.
Yeah.
The community plots.
Yes, the
Oh,
community
wonderful.
plots need to be
Excellent.
organic too, because they'll be in an area where we are certified.
Okay.
And some of the beds will be raised for in case somebody has a hard time bending over or have
Nice.
access to the handicap. And we are still available for private school field trips
Okay,
to come
good.
out and learn about the 5 ecosystems that are on the land.
5?
5 ecosystems on the land.
Huh.
And we are working with 2 different organizations to bring the veterans out to learn about farming. It's a very mission-driven type of opportunity, as well as, I think, Jim, you can chime in here, but the nice thing about farming is you see your work and you see the fruits of your labor.
Oh, those of us
And
who work in
you-
an office.
You see that accomplishment
Yeah.
day to day, whether you're, plowing or tilling the land. You see your work and you see the benefits of it, and so it's very rewarding.
So talk about living in a cubicle. You also offer sites for team building exercises and things
Absolutely.
about that. Talk
Yes.
a little bit about that.
We have organizations, corporate organizations, and schools that come out as early. They're starting in March, and they run through the fall, and they come out and they work the land. They're taught how to harvest or plant or weed. Sometimes they do we have a lot of gardens around there. They'll do the mulching of that and just beautifying the area. And they can do it as a team building. And they some come out, work the morning, and then do team building in the afternoon. And some consider just getting out of the office, out in the fresh air, and
understand
doing
that.
the work,
Yeah.
the team building part. But
So corporate groups, school groups, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts use
Boy Scouts
it?
and Girl Scouts, they come out and help. And actually, the Boy Scouts have built a lot of the structures that are out on the farm. And right now, we have an Eagle Scout building our farm stand that
Yeah.
will start hopefully in June. And he designed the most amazing farm stand. Even Jim was surprised at how practical it is. It's great. We're really excited. And the Girl Scouts come out as well. Usually each group will do a camp out. They'll do an overnight out there.
Nice.
And we do have a fire pit that was built by an Eagle Scout.
And then there's the building where you also have educational opportunities
Yes.
there.
Yeah, people. We have some folks that want to do some cooking classes out there.
Beautiful, yeah.
We're talking with the Simsbury Theater Guild, and they want to use our barn where the animals were for storage, and teach classes out there, as well as use some of our office space. And there's endless possibilities to collaborate with other organizations or bring people onto the farm and experience.
So bring
the
your
community
creativity and give
Yes.
Susan Pribyson a call or email her at giftsoflovect.org. And Jim, before we go, my hope is that this starts to stimulate some interest from some new students in the program. So what if suddenly we have a passionate viewer right now who wants to jump into the program?
Yeah, they could just get a hold of us. This happens sometimes with volunteers, like they'll say, I've always wanted to do this and I want to come back and I want to learn how to farm. And you mentioned the veterans too. Farming is very therapeutic. It's kind of,
Okay.
You know, it's humbling. You learn you can control
Just so much.
There's so much. If things out of your control, you'll have something going great and something happens and it's gone. But so you need to be fully in control of what you can't control and just kind of walk away from what you can't.
So you psyched me up. I can't grow things, but if there's somebody that does want to get a hold of, get part of the program, does it have a cycle, or can someone start at any time?
You kind of need to start in the spring. I mean,
Okay,
you need to start your plants on time.
So there's still some room.
There's still a little
in the
bit of
program?
time, you know, depending on what you're doing.
And so email you maybe,
Yeah, farmer@giftsoflovect.org.
and you get them in the program.
Right, and they can go on the
Excellent.
website too, and there's a link. with the
Okay,
email.
excellent.
So
So you have
We have another website that we're advertised on, the Farm Link.
yeah, we're on Connecticut Farm Link, and we're on the Connecticut NOFA website too. You can
NOFA, which is
the Northeast Organic Farmers Association.
okay, and so they can also get to you that way.
Yes.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully we've stimulated some people to think about this, to learn more about organic farming, and to get into a very organized program, which is, I think, the big plus here.
That's the tough part, getting the hands-on training,
It
getting the
is,
experience.
yeah.
It's like anything you can.
You can't learn this one from a book or even a YouTube.
No, it's almost like an electrician or a plumber. They have to do an apprenticeship. You have to
Hands-on.
do it hands-on. You have to you could read about it all day, but until you actually do it and get a feel for it, it's.
It needs
You need
it
practice.
you need to get your hands in the dirt. There's no getting
Yeah,
around it.
right.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jim, and thank you, Susan. It sounds like a wonderful way to cultivate a whole new generation of organic farmers. And if you're interested in learning more about the Gifts of Love Farm Incubation Program, email Jim at farmer@giftsoflovect.org. And for more information about the farm and Gifts of Love, go to giftsoflovect.org. And join us again next month when we will be talking about some of the other educational programs at the Gifts of Love Farm. And thank you for joining us.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.